Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Today, I have a real treat for you. It's Sophie Foote. She's an adventurous entrepreneur who bought a beach once in Indonesia and built a whole scuba resort. Isn't that amazing? That is not even the most amazing thing. We're going to find that too. But now she's based in the UK, and down in the south of the UK, she invests in property and teaches other women how to invest in all kinds of things so that they can actually build wealth. She's doing this while living life to the fullest, and as a scuba diving enthusiast, she values flexibility and happiness. She's striving to help others achieve the same. Sophia's journey reflects a commitment to adventure and empowerment, inspiring those around her to pursue their passions. Get ready to meet a visionary who's making waves in both the travel and investment worlds. Sophie, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you. That was the best introduction ever. Can you just come round everywhere with me?
Of course, I would do that. Absolutely. Especially where you live, I would love to.
Yes. So I'm really excited to come on here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this. I know you have just like the most amazing story. So let's start. We're going to save, folks, you're going to have to be patient to hear about the island. We're going to start with what Sophie's up to now. Would you talk a little bit about who you're serving and the problems that you're solving for them?
Sure. So right now I have a property company in the UK. So real estate, and we specialize in house shares. So in the UK, when we're at uni, we live in halls of residence for the first year. And in the second year, it's a real, I don't know if it's an English thing, but we go into house shares, student house shares.
Okay,
so we have these
that.
Student houses in every town that has universities. We have these big student houses with 5 or 6 or 8 bedrooms. And you live there with your student pals and you have parties and you do your second and third year and then you graduate. So in every big town, there's all these student houses and we basically manage student houses. And our model is that we take on the most disgusting ones, we transform them into beautiful ones, and then we switch to professionals.
Wow.
So instead of the sort of really low student market where they're in these like moldy, grotty house shares, we transform the house and we put in young professionals, because actually once they graduate, they also want to live in a house share, which is nice and social and they can hang out and party and stuff, but they're graduates now, so they'll pay a higher rent. So we kind of add value to the houses in that way. So I've been doing that about 4 years and we've now got 29 of these house shares, loads of tenants, a small team. But since I got into the world of property, I've been learning about different investment strategies and ways. And to me, investing always sounded like a man in a suit shouting down the phone maybe, or corporate boardroom type things and stocks and shares, and sounded expensive and complicated and risky. And what I've learned is that it's none of those things. It's actually a really smart way to grow lasting wealth. So I invest in the stock market, in index funds, and I also invest in Forex trading, like currency pairs, and anyone can do it. And as I briefly mentioned to you before we started recording, I feel like everyone should be investing because, you know, my parents and my grandparents couldn't do what I can do, which is go on the phone, get on an app, open an account, and I can invest in any stock market around the world. which I think is amazing.
It really is.
We just maybe don't have the confidence or the knowledge to do this safely, and we do need to do it safely, because you could risk all your money if you take a high risk investment, but there are really smart ways of doing it. There are really low risk ways of doing it. It's just about educating yourself, getting that knowledge, and just having a go and taking the leap. And the sooner you start, the sooner compound interest will start making you money. And it's like a snowball. So you could start with a few dollars or pounds, but as it remains, as you invest it, as it increases in value, it will snowball, it will grow. And I'm just into that.
I
Like
love
I
that.
don't think I'm obsessed with money, but I just feel like it's the key to, the more money I can make, the more freedom I can have. I can take my kids to school, I can go and see their school plays, and I can take them on adventures. And that's what life is for me, like having experiences. So yeah,
Yes.
that's what I do at the moment. And I
I'm
try
so
and help
blown
as many
away.
people as I can. I'm like, come and learn investing with me.
Yes. Oh, that is so cool, because on every front, because what you're seeing, you're living, like you're a living example of this working. And I
Yeah,
would imagine there was a point when you didn't know any of this stuff. I mean,
100%. Yeah.
nobody comes out of the womb knowing this stuff.
Yeah.
And so you learned it, it's working. Now you're teaching others. That's a sign of, mastery, is when you can teach others how to do this as well. And then on the whole other thing, but with the housing shares, this is what, like, I've seen some of those houses. I went to university here, and it was the same thing, like
Yeah.
disgusting. And I always
Yeah.
felt so bad for whoever owned this house. Like, this is probably not what they envisioned was going to happen to
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
Like, and then the people living there, like, it's absolutely gross. You're walking, the floor is sticky. You're just, ugh,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
awful. What a horrible thing for everybody. And then the neighbors too. This is far reaching, and that's a massive problem that you've changed, that you've solved for, for the students, for their neighbors, for the people who own these
Hmm.
houses. And
Yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah,
that's
and here in the
incredible.
UK, like we are a small island, we don't have enough houses at
Right.
all. There's a huge housing crisis here, and so there's a huge demand.
Yeah.
So actually, the low quality stuff still gets filled with tenants because
Yeah.
there's such a high demand. So
Sure.
to increase the condition of it and increase the quality of it, I think is really important, and it
That's
adds
so
value
cool.
in every way.
It really does. And that's the best thing with entrepreneurs. I always say, entrepreneurs, they take ownership of a problem they didn't cause. You didn't cause the
Yeah.
housing shortage. You didn't cause the disgusting houses. You took ownership of this and you fixed it. And now it's like the ripple effects that go out for, just like, that is, you must sleep very well at night, like knowing you've made some amazing change
Well,
in the
I
world.
do until the tenants start calling me with their blocked
My toilet is
drains and
starting. That's true. That's true. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. And then, because this has gone so well for you, you know, I would imagine that has also given you the confidence, like, as you go, like, all right, how else can I grow money? You are a money farmer. Like, you've planted some seeds, they've really taken root, they're producing.
Mhm.
Now you're able to harvest, replant. I mean, this is, how did you start learning? Because again, this is not something people are taught at school, or
Yeah, you're
most
right,
parents
and
don't
that
know it.
annoys me. We should be taught these things at school.
Yes.
I think in the property world, there's a lot of networking, there's a lot of events, there's always more courses you can do. I do loads of self-development. I love a podcast. The ones I would recommend straight away, there's one called Girls That Invest. And they started it in, I think, New Zealand a few years ago, and it's absolutely huge now. They do a course on investing. She's written a book. She's gone around the world. And the US one, Financial Feminist, I think it's called. That's
Okay.
brilliant as well. So yeah, these things just kind of popped up on my radar, and I believe that in a male-dominated world that we live in, I really like the phrase that you can't be what you can't see. So when
Mm,
you see women doing these amazing things, you think, she's done it, I can do it. What does she do? How does she get
yes.
there? And so I kind of try and figure out what they've done and how they've done it, and But as you said, like you're not born knowing these things. You have to go out and find it and learn it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I
That
do.
is so, I mean, just right, we could end it right now. This is perfect. Like,
Done.
we're not going to, but oh my gosh, yeah. You
Yeah.
can't be what you can't see. That is, I've never heard that. It's probably been
Mm,
around forever. I've just never heard it. That is really incredible. So you first learned about like investing in property.
yeah.
And then you branched out to these other types of investments. Was the same? Like, it sounds like it could be kind of rinse and repeat. You learn, and then did you practice? Did you have a mentor? Like, how did it continue to expand so that you were able to
Um,
invest with confidence?
Good question. Yeah, I think you always need support. I think so for example, investing in the stock market, um, you can, you can think, oh my God, this seems really risky. I don't know what to invest in. Things go up, things go down. So what I do, which I learned from Girls That Invest, is I invest in index funds. So instead of investing in one company, I'm investing in 100, which are all put together for me neatly in one fund. And I go,
Nice.
that. So
Yeah.
it's just so simple. And these index funds reflect parts of the market. So one of them reflects the FTSE 100, which is the 100 best performing companies in the UK. And if a company drops out of that, it's replaced by a better one. So it's always going to be good performing companies. So you go, yeah, that. And the historical average is about 8% a year. And you can look back at the data. Sometimes it's fallen, 20% in a year, and that would be a scary year. Sometimes it's risen, but the historical average over 100 years is about 8%. Another one is the S&P 500, which is the 500 companies in the US, which again is constantly refreshing itself with the best ones. So you could be like, yeah, I'll do an index fund for that. You could even do a global index fund with there's an index fund for everything. You can do ethical index funds, which is like no oil, no gas, no tobacco. Thank you very much. Nice things. So I invest in index funds. And then I was like, okay, what's next? And then I was on a property podcast, and the next guest was this guy called Lewis, and he owns a business called Star Trading, and where they learn how to trade financial markets like forex currency pairs, and you can trade for 30 minutes a day. And he said, yeah, you can make maybe 10% a month. 10% a month. Wow. But I thought, no, that looks complicated, risky, techie. No. But then I stayed connected with him, got to know him. He does free events all the time, and you get to know him and his team. And I was like, he's great. He's a great guy. And actually, he's teaching people this process of trading, which works. It's proven. He's got a training course. There are people that have done it that are doing really well. So I dived into his training a year ago, and now I'm a mentor for Star Trading. Like, he and his team said, Sophie, do you wanna come and do some part-time work? Yes. So now I help coach people who are starting trading. And actually, I made him start a podcast with me. So
Good.
we do this
Yes.
trading podcast. But that's really interesting as well, because you're looking at financial charts and you're trading. So I do it in the evening just for 20 minutes. And yeah, I'm making, 5 to 8% a month. And again, it's like, I just want to share that with people and say, anyone can learn it. When I joined his training program and his community, I thought, oh, it's going to be all these men who sit late at night trading in their hoodies. And it's not, it's almost 50-50 gender balanced,
Wow.
age from 18 to about 70,
Whoa.
and really nice community. And we meet up 4 times a year for social events. We went to Morocco for a long weekend, about 30 of us,
Oh my
and it's just
gosh.
the most fun ever. It's great. It's like a little gang. So, but I think for each of these things, I've had to go, right, come on, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to learn what I need to learn. I'm going to trust the process,
Yes.
and just go for it.
That's amazing. I mean, so this is recent too. It's not like you've been doing this for 20 years or
Yeah.
even 10. Like, so for you, has it almost become, like when you first thought about, oh, I don't know, the Forex, it looks a little, you had a little bit of hesitation, right? This is going
Yeah.
to be hard. This is going to be, I don't know. Is that starting to decrease the more skills that you've learned, like the more investment skills that you've learned?
Oh, definitely,
That's so
definitely.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a confident person, and I might tell you the wildfire story later from Indonesia, where I had to deal with a wildfire on my own.
Yes.
Basically, after that event, I just thought to myself, if I can deal with that wildfire, nothing is going to phase me, like literally
Wow.
nothing. A tenant can call me with a block drain, you know, things are not scary when you compare them to a wildfire nearly eating your entire resort.
Yes.
So I think that's made me just quite calm, quite chill, and be like, well, what's the worst that could happen, you know?
Wow. And as you build these skills too, and then you see them bearing fruit, it's like,
Yeah,
like it's got to be incredibly satisfying and peaceful to go, whatever happens, I know I can face it. Between the
yeah,
wildfire and then the actual skills that you've built in investing.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
really
I think it's
priceless.
is it the book Atomic Habits? Or I'm not sure if it's that's the one I'm thinking, but I think it is that one that's basically like talent is it's really not all about talent, it's more about practice and
Mm,
consistency. So if you just carry on, and I found this, I've built a couple of businesses now, and it's so hard when you start a business, it's
yeah.
so hard. But if you just keep going, then you'll probably just beat a lot of the people that gave up just by not having to be the best.
Yeah.
Just keep going and being consistent. Consistency always leads to improvement and winning, and just keep going. And then the
Yes.
confidence helps as well, I think.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. All right. So now, so you're a coach with this guy. This fantastic. How are you also responsible for bringing in students, or like what is your role there? Are you just, teaching and kind of a mentor for them? And,
Yeah,
what does
so
that look
my
like?
full-time job really is my property business,
Hmm.
so the house shares. I also help other people invest in property. So I do a bit of mentoring and coaching, just one-to-one, with people who say to me, okay, I think I need to get into property. It seems like a good investment. Don't know where to start. No idea what to do. So I'm like, okay, let's just go through it really simply, step by step. Here are the actions you need to do, and we'll get you some property. We'll either get you managing it, or if you've got money to invest, we'll buy something, and just helping people through that. And
That's
then
great.
with Star Trading, they're just growing rapidly. It's very popular. They've got a great sales process, so they needed more mentors. So I
Mm.
just do it part time, just as needed. Jump onto a group coaching call, and you have a bunch of people who have done some homework, and you go through it with them and help them really understand what's going on. So I really enjoy it because it's just a little part time role, but I'm part of the gang, I'm part of the community. I can really help people improve. So
Yes.
it's nice. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm just in awe. That is really, really cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's like you've learned, and now you've digested
Yeah.
it so well and proven it so well that you're able to really impact other people's lives. I'm thinking the ripple effect that comes from that, their families, the vendors that they work with, their communities. You will probably never know the full impact of everybody you've touched. That's
Oh,
pretty
that's a
cool.
very lovely thought.
Isn't it? Oh
Yeah.
man, I love that. All right, I promised that we would talk about the island, so we have to go there. How did this happen? You bought an island and built a scuba resort and fought off
Yeah.
wildfire. We have to hear it all.
Okay, okay. So basically, when I was 18, I had a gap year. I had a year off between school and university, and I just was desperate to have an adventure. So I went to this company and said, I want to teach English just somewhere, anywhere, but somewhere completely different. And they said to me, okay, we're either going to send you to East Malaysia or West Africa.
Oh,
I was like, great, yeah, whatever, just send me. And so they sent me to East Malaysia for 3 months, to the island of Borneo, to the city of Kota Kinabalu. And I was 18, I was sent there with this partner, and we taught English for 3 months, and it was amazing. We were in the secondary school, it was a Muslim country, it was different, it was just fascinating. And while I was there, I discovered the scuba diving, like the reefs, the turtles, the sharks, everything. Started making friends with people that worked there, different instructors, started dating one of the instructors, and called my parents and said, I'm not coming home, I'm staying for the rest of the year. They were like, okay. So I stayed for the rest of the year, and became a professional scuba diver, a dive master. And I was just helped run the dive shop, and it was just the most brilliant job ever. Got to be out diving every day, meeting new friends, drinking with them in the evening, hanging out with my boyfriend. And then I started university in England, and I hadn't really decided what I wanted to study, but I studied anthropology,
Oh,
which is
okay.
the study of different cultures.
Yeah.
Because the guy I was dating, I remember visiting his family, and he said my grandfather was a headhunter. Like he
Wow.
literally went out and cut people's head off because that's what they did a few hundred years ago in the
Yeah.
middle of the jungle in Borneo. And I was like, oh, that is fascinating. So I switched to anthropology and learned all about different cultures for 3 years. And then in the UK, we have 3 months off every summer from university. So the first summer I went to Vietnam and I managed a dive school there. And then I went to Thailand for the summer and I was an instructor there. And then I finished uni and I went to Fiji for 6 months, had a job on a very remote island in Fiji. And then I came back and did a master's in Southeast Asian economics, anthropology, and politics, as
Wow.
you do. And I met my husband here in the UK. And I said to him, like, I'm not done yet. I'm not ready to live in the UK. I love diving. I'm a diving instructor and I love doing that. But you don't earn that much money just being a diving instructor. You earn enough to get a little apartment, have some beers in the evening, but that's it. So I said, we need to start our own dive business. Would you like to go and do that with me? And he said, yeah, okay. So we started researching, found this land for sale in North Sulawesi, Indonesia. And I don't know if there's any divers listening to the podcast, but it's one of the most popular places for diving in the world because it's in the coral triangle between the Philippines, Indonesia, and Australia, which has got the highest marine biodiversity in the world. So underwater there, you've got big things like manta rays and sharks and dolphins, and also tiny things like pygmy seahorses and sea slugs, and it's just incredible. It's like a treasure chest for divers. So
Wow.
I knew there was demand there.
Yes.
And we decided to go and visit and absolutely fell in love with this place. Like you fly into Manado, then you drive for an hour and a half to the coast. Then you get a boat for an hour and then you're there. You're on Bangor Island, North Sulawesi. And yeah, the diving was great. And we just fell in love with it. And we thought, right, we need a plan. So we kind of stayed for a month and figured out a business plan, right? What language do they speak here? How do we start a business here? What visas do we need? How much is it all going to cost? We were like running around shops. How much is a bathroom? How much is this? How much are towels? Figured out a kind of rough business plan and then just thought, let's do it. We're going to do this. So we borrowed money from family and friends. We bought the beach, which was actually two beaches and then this huge jungle up a hill. It had like mango trees, pineapple plants. It was about half an hour's walk to the nearest village, which had no cars or roads, just a few houses. And there were 5 other small like homestay resorts on the island. And so my husband mainly stayed on the island, and I mainly stayed on the mainland where there was Wi-Fi. And I was like, I'm going to build a website and start social media. And he started building with a team of guys from the local village who didn't speak English. So every morning, Simon would get his dictionary and he'd like, right, bricks, sand, cement, and try and communicate. And he picked it up so quickly.
Oh,
And then I was on the mainland building the website, emailing dive schools, inviting them over. And we basically had 6 months to build this resort because we wanted to open in April for the busy season. And I started getting bookings and I called Simon. I was like, I've got bookings for our resort that doesn't exist yet. We need to be ready.
Hurry up.
Um, yeah, and we were off grid, so we had to dig a well for water. We had generators for electricity. We had compressors and a dive area. We had two boats. We had a restaurant, 8 cottages for the guests. And we assembled this team of local Indonesian people who were amazing. And then we just started. We were like, right, the guests are coming tomorrow. And I remember waking up that morning and the guys were filling the boat up and filling tanks up and the ladies were making all the beds and I was like, this is it, we're doing it. Like, this is so exciting.
Oh,
And I remember we had staff meetings and stuff, and people would ask a question and then everyone would look at me. And that was the first time I was like, oh, I'm a leader. I'm in charge.
yes.
I need to not only make the decision, but be accountable for whatever happens next. And so I remember really developing as like, right, I'm a leader, but I'm also a woman in a different culture, in a different language.
Right.
So that was difficult to navigate as well. And like the Indonesian people are just amazing. It's a very respectful culture. You don't ever raise your voice or have conflict. And you don't really, like, you can't really tell anyone off or raise any issues. And the men who built for us, we couldn't build a good relationship with because they were just here for the day. And I remember speaking to them and they just totally ignored me because I was female.
Oh boy.
And I figured out the best way to communicate with them was to say, my husband would really like you to do this. And they were like, oh, yeah.
We're right on it.
Yeah, so there were lots of things we had to learn. But it was amazing. And I learned everything I know about business from just making it up. Like, you don't need planning permission or building permission on this remote island. We just built. And I just figured out sales and marketing. And then we figured out cash flow and finance and managing a team. You know, it's so hard to manage people anywhere in the world, I'd say, because it's humans.
Yeah.
But we just had the best time. Like, we just had the best time ever. We would have guests and it was basically a homestay because we lived there. So we'd eat all our meals with the guests. We'd take them diving. And we'd chat to them in the evening, and we made so many friends. Like, we've just got friends around the world now, and we had our kids out there as well, which was amazing. Like, trying to
Like
get
on
them
on the island, or did you go?
well, no, they were born in the hospital.
Okay. I was like,
I
wow.
registered with this hospital on the mainland,
Okay.
but my first baby came 3 weeks early,
Oh my.
and I didn't know if I'd get off the island because the boat was in and the tide was out.
Oh
And I
no.
was like, oh, I started ringing around everyone I knew in the village, and eventually a fishing boat came and transported us,
Oh my
and we
goodness.
got everything was fine. But my babies, they spent their first 3 years on the island, and they were just adopted by our whole team of staff. And
Yeah.
I remember having a chat with my sister-in-law who had a child in London at the same time, and she said, I feel quite isolated, I feel quite lonely. And I was like, okay, but I can't relate to that because my child was everyone's child. Like, in Indonesia, everyone's responsible for everyone's kids. So I would wake up in the morning and the babies would go, and then they'd come back to me when they were hungry, and then they'd go again. And it was just so nice. It was such a nice start for them, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, we learned so much.
And you were so young, like taking all of this on. And
Yeah.
that wasn't your major in college or anything. Like, you literally had to figure this out as you went.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
that's wow. Like, all right,
That
what
was
happened
fun.
next?
So we basically we were there for 5 years. So year one, we were just figuring it out. And I remember we would have new guests every week. So we would take the boat over to the mainland, get a car, drive around the supermarket and shop for 8 guests for a week, then go to the airport and meet the guests, then bring them all back and go. And then in year two, we were like, why are we doing this? Let's message the driver the shopping list. So we got some drivers, messaged them the shopping list, told them the names of the guests, and they go and shop, pick up the guest and bring them to us. so that was fine, but the problem was sometimes they couldn't find any eggs, or
Oh,
sometimes they couldn't find, so they're like, yeah, sorry, we didn't get half the food.
oh no.
And we're like, oh no, that wasn't very good. And then in year three, I got an email from a supplier saying, we're doing a promotion on beer if you need beer. And I was like, could you supply us with food every week? And they said, yeah, we're the main supplier of all the hotels in Manado. Here's a spreadsheet of products. And so in year one, we were running around the supermarkets ourselves. In year three, we had a commercial supplier, wholesale rates, send him a spreadsheet, and they'll supply us at the boat at the beach. So we were kind of like refining it each year.
Yeah.
We were teaching diving. We started having returning guests, which were great. Then there was the wildfire, which was crazy. So we basically had a dry season and a wet season. It was hot all year round, hot, hot, hot. And it would just be dry all year. And then in like September, October, we'd get the like torrential rain. It was still hot, but it would be wet, fine, and then it would be dry again. But in one year, it must have been 2015, my son was born in May. And then in September and October, the rains hadn't come yet. So the whole island, which was normally like lush and green, just turned brown and dry and like kindling. And we started hearing reports of wildfires in the north of the island. And we were on the south, and the wind was blowing up, and we were like, we're good, we're fine. And then a few days later, my husband went diving with all the guests. Like, everyone left me on my own with the baby. And we just had our compressor guy and our cook and her teenage daughter. And I was just with my baby, just hanging out. And the compressor guy said to me, boss, the wildfire is close by. Come and look. So I was like, okay. And everything was made of wood and bamboo. And
Yes.
I went to the edge of the resort and I could see the wildfire, which was like not huge. It was only like a couple of inches tall, but the line of the fire was like 200 meters long, all the way up the hill. And it was just crackling towards me. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just racking my brain, like, okay, what shall I do? What shall I do? And I'd solved a lot of problems on this island.
Yeah.
Logistics, staffing, customers, diving. I've got a brain where if I have a problem, I'm like, right, what can I do? Here's 10 solutions, let's pick one. But I was standing in front of this fire, like, I do not know what to do.
Oh
I
wow.
do
You
not
got nothing,
know.
huh?
And I could feel like almost panic,
Yeah.
like what? Everything's wood. It's just me. My baby's here. What's going to happen? And then the cook's teenage daughter came to me and she picked up a palm leaf and started bashing the fire, and it started putting it out. So I was like, okay, great idea. I'm going to join in. Except the fire was a bit too big. So I thought, I need help. I need help. So I messaged the boat, everyone come back. I messaged everyone I'd ever met in the village, the fishermen, the suppliers, the family,
Yeah.
the staff, everyone that had ever worked for us. I messaged all the other resorts. I was like, I need help now, fire. And
Yeah.
within about 20 minutes, there were 30 or 40 people. And it was just the power of the community that we'd been part of and we'd built, and we'd taught English. We'd got the young people from the village to come and learn with us. We
Yeah.
trained them in diving and hospitality. We visited the village. We tried to buy stuff, support the local people. And, that really helped. And so they just started appearing like with their boats and walking, and they all brought buckets and pumps and stuff, and they just helped me. And I was just like, okay, this is amazing. It
Wow.
was, yeah. And it was terrifying. Like, it was so stressful. I realized the next day I was just like, that was stressful. I'm still shaking a bit.
Yes.
But that night we could hear like explosions and bangs.
Oh.
And I was like, and we realized it was coconuts exploding
Oh my
in the
gosh, I didn't
trees
know that could
from the
happen.
heat.
Right. Oh
Like,
geez.
yeah. And I in the night I kept saying to Simon, go and check, go and check, go and check. And it was creepy because you could see like embers and glowing, and yeah, it's just terrifying. So that was the
Wow.
wildfire, and we basically survived that. And that just made me think, I dealt with that.
Yeah,
I
you
dealt
sure
with that
did.
wildfire and we got through it. So, yeah, we can do anything. We can do difficult things.
Yes, oh my gosh, that is an incredible story.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Wow. I hope you've written a book. Have you please tell
I
me you've written
need
a
to
book.
write a book, don't I?
Sophie! Gosh, yes.
Yeah, I need to write the book. But we also had tsunami warnings because we were in that kind of area. So we signed up to the tsunami alerts, and we'd get very small sea quakes and earthquakes sometimes, because Indonesia was badly affected back in, is it 2004, 2006?
Yeah.
So yeah, occasionally we'd get an alert and it would give you the magnitude and the distance. And most of them were absolutely fine. A couple of them we thought, right, let's pack a bag, let's prepare to go up the hill if we need to. So yeah, there were things like that, but you know, we always remembered that all these people have lived in this village for generations, and they're fine, and they're healthy, and they live amazing lives, and we've just come to be part of that. But when our kids were 2 and 3, we started thinking about education and what's next.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, we've got options. The options are send them to the village where there's a school that's kind of like part-time and in Indonesian, so they're not going to progress very well. We could try and homeschool them, but we thought we're rubbish, you know, we're not teachers. Or we could, you know, send them to school somewhere. And we thought, you know, we've been here 5 years. We've gone from a beach and a jungle to a successful business. And we put it up for sale, and it was sold within a year. So yeah, so we sold it, and then we had an amazing holiday because we never really took holidays.
Yeah,
We
really.
had to keep it, you know, we had to run the resort. So we had a really cool holiday, and then we came back to put the kids in school here. So yeah, that
Oh
was
my
5 or 6
gosh.
years ago now.
Incredible. And you were saying, I think before we started recording, you said you recently went back, you know, so your kids could see here's where you were born.
Yeah, it
What
was
did
it
they
was so
think?
cool.
Did they
So the
remember it,
kids
or were they like,
the kids left when they were 1 and 3, so they've seen loads of pictures and videos and stuff, and they've been told all about it all the time.
yeah,
So they were really excited to go back, and it's a long journey. You know,
yeah.
London to Singapore is 15 hours,
Oh,
then Singapore to Manado is 3 hours, and then you've got the car and the boat. So they did really well. But it was amazing. Like, we didn't realize the impact we had when we were there, which I don't like saying because it sounds a bit like, oh, the impact. But we employed people and we
yeah.
supported people, and we, you know, when we left, we sponsored the boat captain's daughter through tourism college because we just had a conversation and that's what she wanted to do. And for us, it was like £100 every few months, but for them, it's a bigger proportion of their income.
Sure.
So we said,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, we'll support you through that. So she was at the airport to meet us, and she
Oh,
gave us all these sashes
oh.
and took pictures and stuff. And then our old driver picked us up. We were like, hey, like, how are you? How's the family? And they were just so excited to see us, and we were so excited to see them. And then, you know, when we got to the beach, the boat crew were all there. We had big hugs, and yeah, we got back to the resort, and it was a bit sad because we sold it just before the pandemic,
Oh,
which
right.
no one predicted. So the
Yeah.
couple that bought it from us had 2 really good years, and then suddenly no more flights, no more tourism. So they left because they hadn't been there very long. They didn't know if they could stay or not. So they left, and came back to Europe, and they still paid the staff, which was amazing. But since then, they haven't really been back. So they've kind of had managers in, and it's made the staff think, well, it's kind of ticking over, and we're not really sure what's happening. And when we were there, we would, you know, they were a second family to us. So
Oh,
we'd
yeah.
always help them with if they needed a medical bill, or if their kids wanted to come and learn English, whatever. But they didn't have that anymore. They just had managers. So
Yeah.
they said to us, have you come to buy it back? Have you come to get it back? And we were like, oh, no, we're on holiday. But we had a roller coaster of emotion because we said to each other, maybe we could, maybe we should, maybe we could run it from England, spend half the year here. And then after a few days, we remembered how difficult it was. You know, you've got staff to manage, you've got logistics. The fact that you're off grid
Yeah.
means that you're always on call, always. If anything breaks, you need
Yes.
to fix it, and there are no shops.
Right.
And we were so relaxed when we were there Why are we so relaxed? It's because we're not in charge.
We're not in charge of anything,
Yeah.
right?
And it was just so beautiful to see. I said to the kids, you know, when you're a kid and you meet an older person who goes, "Oh, I knew you when you were younger," and you don't have a clue. I said
Right.
that's going to happen a lot. So, and they
Yes.
did. Everyone was like, "Oh, kids, we know you."
Right. Oh.
But they were great and they loved it. And we saw dolphins around the boat one day, which was just magical. And yeah, they were quite upset to leave.
I'm sure they
So
were.
you know, and they're even in their passport, they were born in Indonesia, so they'll always have that connection, which I think is really cool. So
That's
I'm sure we'll go back more regularly now.
that's amazing. What an incredible experience you've given
Yeah.
them and yourselves and the people who, lived and worked at the resort. You
Mm,
changed their lives. Like
mm.
that's you are a woman of impact and like this is wow. Like
Yeah,
really
it was a good
incredible.
adventure, and yeah, well, I'm sure we haven't finished adventuring. I've always
I would
got
doubt
plans
it.
and slightly itchy feet.
So what is next? What's on your list that you would love to do that you haven't?
Well, I've got this plan, which I have kind of mentioned to my husband, that so the kids are nearly in their last year of primary school and they'll go into secondary school in about a year and a half. So I'm like, now's the time to take a year off. Now's the time to take,
Yes.
because they missed 2 years of school in the pandemic and we ended up homeschooling them. And all the kids have ended up fine, I think. All the kids I know anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we could take a year out and we could go on an adventure and we could do a bit of homeschooling or international school. My
Sure.
husband's always wanted to do an American road trip, so
Oh,
maybe we'll come and visit you.
yes.
But like some of my early memories when I went on holidays with my parents were, you know, in Turkey or in Morocco, where you see something completely different and it blows your mind and it
Yeah.
gives you perspective. And
Yeah.
I really want that for my kids. So I'm going to try and make that happen.
Have zero doubt that you will do it. Like that is
Yeah.
like, and they're so lucky to have a mom with such confidence and such,
Yeah.
world experience. Like my goodness, like there's so many lessons in that. You have to write a book. Please write a
Okay,
book.
I'll
Like,
do it.
I'll help you if you want, but oh my gosh, write a book. Right?
Let's do it, Sue.
Wow. All right. So where can people find out more about, working with you as far as like as a coach for the property and for anything? Like people are going to love you.
So
So,
yeah, come and find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Sophie Foote with an E on the end, Foote, and I'm on Instagram as Sophie Invests. And
nice.
that's it. Just come find
That's
me.
wonderful. Oh my goodness. This is so great. Thank you so much for being here. This is inspiring. This is an incredible story that you have lived.
It's so nice to chat to you. Thank you for all your lovely questions.
Absolutely.